Good morning, everybody. It's a Good Morning Portugal show with me, Carl Munson, from expatsportugal.com. How are you today? Friday, of course, Feelgood Friday. And Jenni B is here from HoliHealthy, who will be talking about, who's running your life? You or your inner child? And I read it just now, last night, actually. And it's like, who's running your life? And I read it as who's ruining your life. Could be you and your inner child, but we'll see and we'll find out. Actually, let's bring her on now, shall we? Because we need to look at the weather for the weekend. I understand there's a storm coming in, which Jenni just told me about. Good morning to you, Jenni. How are you?
Good morning, people. I'm great. Hope you saw you.
Yeah, we're pretty good. I saw you drinking some of your Portuguese orange juice there, freshly squeezed from the trees this morning. Is that right? Oh, look at you.
Yes.
Amazing.
Sunshine in a glass. Huh?
Sunshine in the glass. We need that. Yeah, we'll have a look at the weekend's weather. Anyone doing anything nice for the weekend, I wonder? Let's have a look. You are? Oh, cool. You still have a weekend. Bon dia, Carl from Umberto. Good morning to you, Umberto. How are you? And over there in Australia, bon dia, alegria. Not as vocal this morning, everybody, as we sometimes are. Has this kind of touchy-feely subject of the inner child frightened people? Are they afraid to be sat in the front row and maybe, you, sir, you, madam, tell us about your childhood? It's not going to be like that, is it, Jenni?
No. And I'm well aware about that. For a lot of people, this seems to be a bit abstract. So I'm trying to grasp it on the intellectual level, so you understand.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's us here, a bunch of intellectuals assembling from around the world every morning at 9 o'clock. Yeah, I'm known as a leading intellectual, of course. Good morning from Gary, our mutual friend Gary. Good morning, beautiful world. He's in a good mood this morning. He's probably been up painting again. Hola, bon dia from Cali, from Hank. Good morning, Hank. And I think in California, in the Bay Area, people are used to contemplating such ideas, I think, as the inner child. So we'll be in safe territory with Hank. Bon dia from Povoa de Vargem up there in the north. Good morning, Mark. How are you? In Moscow. Bon dia to you, Carolyn. Jim McDonald over in Germany. Bon dia, Carl, Jenni, and everyone from a sunny and a bit warmer Wiesbaden. Look from the homeland there, Jenni. Looking forward to playing some golf this weekend. Check you out. Paul Richards, morning from Harrogate. Guess what? It's raining again. Sorry to hear that, Paul. Lisa from the Jersey Bean from over there, making her way here soon. Bon dia, Carl. Jenni in Belgium. Bon dia, Jennifer. Carl Itoros. Ree over in America, morning. Lol, it's only 3. What are you doing, Ree? 3:55 in the morning. Need more coffee. Get some Joe in you. Bon dia, alegria. Morning, Jenni and Carl. My inner child is alive and well. There's somebody who treated us last night in the wine club to a beautiful bottle of wine. I think on the right sort of wavelength this morning. Morning, Jen from Ree. Absolutely, Carl. Thumbs up with the inner child business. We're going to find out more in just a moment. Good morning, Toros from Citrus Farming Family. Druba, how are you, mate? Look, here we go. Non dear. I hope your time in FB jail wasn't too rough. It would have been fine if it wasn't for you lot in the expat man cave tagging me in everything and winding me up like that. I don't know whose idea that was. Paul. Bon dia, alegria. Sadly, no plans for the weekend, but it will evolve, no doubt. Yes, indeed, Paul. Put those shelves up or whatever it is for spring cleaning in the flat. Bon dia from Nottingham, from Michelle, Andrea Pereira. Bon dia, Carl, from a very wet and windy North Wales. And that is, of course, the weather she's talking about. Good morning from Barbara. I haven't seen you for a while, Barbara. Lovely to see you. I think Holly Boy was... as on my... What's he talking about? Do you understand that, Jenni? Come on, Gary.
He probably means Hellboy.
I think Hellboy was as on my childhood. He's regressed already. Maybe he's gone to his 18-month-year-old, and that's how he's talking at the moment. Paul Richards, I assumed that when I read the word Harrogate that it would be raining. Of course, Hank, happy to report I'm now eligible for the COVID vaccine. Now on the list, waiting for an appointment. We might talk to Jenny about vaccinations because she is, of course, known as the reformed pharmacist. Good luck, Jenny. Good luck. She doesn't need luck here. Bon dia from West Sussex, but thank you anyway, Lentia. The Brewer family. Oh, look at this. I can't possibly say that. Can you say that, Jenny?
What? The Brewer family?
No, the name.
Oh my God.
Yes, well done. Andrew Paul Thompson, the doc. Hola, bon dia, alegría, graería. A very good doc. Bon dia, alegría. I may vanish. Wow. Superpowers. As my phone didn't charge enough overnight. We'll catch up later. Morning, Jennifer from Fiona. Debbie News is here. Hi, sometimes we're all too serious in life. It's good to have the inner child come out. Yeah, let's see if we can do that this morning. This is me sometime part of a poem I wrote. Little girl on a garden swing, swinging high and low, dreaming of magical places to go. She's in touch, definitely. All good, thanks, man. In Sintra, where little girls go. I don't know if I should take part in that. I don't know. Gary, I found my inner child. He was hiding behind that badly damaged action man. Gary, being very open this morning, and tender and authentic and vulnerable. Thank you, Gary. My inner child is screaming at me to get the teddy bear and go back to bed, says Reed. Another very honest share there. Joel up in Porto. This will be good to have a sort of Portuguese cultural insight into how in touch people wish to be with their feelings. Joel, not just putting the whole weight of the country on your shoulders, but to respond as you wish. And finally, for now, Bon dia alegría from a former flower child in the snowy US. So Doreen knows what you're talking about. So take it away, Jenny. What are we talking about with this inner child business?
Yeah, well, inner child. Some already been really, really sweet and open and shared a little bit about their inner child, which is beautiful. Thank you for this. If anybody else has an idea about it or has specific questions, of course, you're welcome to share this in the comments also, and I'm happy to answer this. So generally speaking, we all remember that when we were little, we were children, but now when we look in the mirror, we pretty much see a grown-up person most of the time. So, but what it is, we all know that there are sometimes situations in our life where we act and we don't really understand why we overreacted in that way. And most of the time, this is actually our little hurt child. But so it's not that we have just a hurt part of us inside of us as a child. We have two parts. It's also a colleague of mine calls it the sunshine child and the shadow child, which I really like this description because it's easy to grasp. Huh?
Yes.
So the sunshine child is the one that is running around carefree and happily and doing bubbles and picking flowers and is just enjoying its whole life without thinking anything. And the shadow child, on the opposite, is that child that has been hurt. And we all have a hurt part of us inside of us because no parents are perfect, and even if your parents are perfect, there might have been a friend in school that bullied you or something like this. So in everybody's life there has been a time where there was some hurt going on inside of you and you couldn't possibly share this with somebody because out of several reasons: social pressure, expectations, manning up. You probably heard this loads of times, Carl.
You met my dad.
It's not you're not the only one. And for us girls, it's usually, just stand there and look pretty, don't cry, don't be angry, and oh my God, don't scream. So all these things you get told. And this is part of what we've already been scratching on the last times when you develop a sense of I, which happens when you're about 3-4 years old. You realize, okay, I'm here and Carl is there, so we must be different and separate. And then you develop this bowl in your head which says I, and then all the information you get from the outside go inside of this. You're
Yes.
stupid, you're beautiful, you are a cunt. Oh, excuse me, I
Oh,
should have not done that.
Jenny. It's okay. Hopefully that got lost in translation.
I'm
Yeah.
German, I'm sorry. Anyways.
Okay. Yes, but a point well made there. Excellent. Look, I've only just got off just got out of Facebook jail. I'm looking like I'm going back in there again any minute.
That's me then, it's me then.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I'll take that sentence for you, Carl.
All right, that's beautiful of you. So we get it. We the identity is building up, and it might be
Exactly.
built. It might be built on what might be not the most reliable kind of platform for growth. Is the
Well, the
picture here?
thing is, our self picture or our self image and our whole self value is based on the opinions of others. So,
Yeah,
is that true? Do you usually take on opinions of others without re-asking them? No, you usually don't. But in this case, you go like, yeah, that must be it. I am
yeah.
stupid then. If everybody says so, I am stupid then.
Okay, so
So,
let me stop you. What I want to ask you. So, on a rational basis, yes, of course, you would question people's evaluation and judgments of you. But are you saying then that we were too young to have that process happen, and these things are already a given inside our heads?
yeah, well, the thing is, now we're big and we can actually. Gary. Sorry, Gary. So sorry.
It's woke everybody up this morning. Oh, fantastic! Carry on.
And so the thing is, that now we are big and we can differentiate. We can try at least, as long as we're in control, to see what's our subjective point of view and what is rather objective. But as a child, you don't think that reflected. The only
Mm,
thing you're trying is to find explanations for the world and whatever is happening around you. And if you can't, you don't go like, okay, well, mommy probably just shouted at me because she had a bad day, because she had a fight yesterday with daddy and he didn't want to do what she asked him to do. So this must be the reason why mommy is a bit angry today and why she shouted at me. You're not going to do
yes,
this when you're a child. Huh? You're just like, oh, mommy shouted at me. What have I done
yeah,
wrong?
yeah.
That's all you do.
And I need to get safe again, don't I? I need to develop a strategy for dealing with this terrible moment in my life.
Exactly, exactly. And that's good that you scratched this, because that's another really, really important thing. From my point of view, there is no sufficient therapy you can do without including all these parts. So what you just said is perfectly right. When you are in a threatful situation, which has been back in the days of Stone Age, it has been a mammoth.
Mm,
Nowadays, it is the loss of job. It is your mommy screaming at you. It is somebody's robbing something of you.
yeah.
Whatever, financial problems, anything like this is now the threat that has been the mammoth back in the days.
Or
The
even the
reaction,
pandemic, the
yes,
virus. This is an
yes,
the latest manifestation and a test of our development, really, isn't it?
absolutely, absolutely. You're right. So what you do then is usually, so the reaction is the same whether it's the mammoth or it's the pandemic. It causes your body to go in your sympathetic neural state, which
Mm,
means you want to do fight, flight, or freeze. One of those three is your solution out of this emotion or this situation that seems to be threatening for you or
yeah,
is threatening for you.
yeah.
So these three options, well, most of the times we don't have the opportunity to really live one of those. Most of the, like, what are you going to do? You're not going to call
Ghostbusters.
whoever. Ghostbusters, exactly, or you can't really write a letter to the government that you have really problems to follow this whole pandemic situation and don't really know what to make out of it.
Yeah,
You can't, when your dad has been screaming at you when you were little, you couldn't just scream back. You were just standing there and you were frozen.
yeah.
So from fight, flight, and freeze, the opportunity or the option we use the most, unfortunately, because we can't choose any differently, is freezing. But what that does with your body is it freezes these emotions inside of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So the energy that has been coming up and supplied from your body in order to be able to run away or to fight is still there, but it's not used, so it's stored in your tissue.
Yes.
So what all mammals do when they are in stress, what do they do? What does your dog do when he's in stress?
Retreats from the situation and relaxes and lets it go, as far as I can see.
Well, what does he do before that?
Or fights back or runs away. The traditional things you're talking about. Oh, okay, goes into these jitters. Okay,
He
shaking,
shakes. He shakes
shaking.
it off,
Okay, yes,
huh?
yes, yes, yes. Shake it off.
Shake it off, huh? Like Florence said, you probably all know Florence. It's
Yeah,
hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake it off, huh? And that
yes,
is one really, really, really effective thing you can do. Might sound absolutely ridiculous and stupid, but if you have the chance for yourself, huh, and somebody you have been in a for you threatening situation where you could have not left, you have about 24 to 48 hours after this to still get it out of your system. And
hmm
one really good thing to release stress from your body is to shake. Just jump around like crazy. Shake it off. Shake it off.
This is what we might recognise then as the shaking and the shock response that people go through. But it's funny, Jenny, isn't it? In our culture, we try and stop them doing that, don't we? Because we were very
Yes.
uncomfortable about that. So you say, like, here,
Yes.
have a brandy or an aguardent or a cup of tea or something like that, or hug them so they stop, because we're uncomfortable with it, aren't we? So what happened? Is that some sort of cultural, societal norm that we've slapped on top of that?
Yeah, well, like you said, exactly. It's not really welcome anyway to show any uncomfortable feelings. I don't
Yeah,
like to call them negative because they are not negative. It seems to feel negative for you, but it still has a very big sense behind having them. That's your body trying to talk with you. We
yes,
all get told that feelings do develop in your brain, but that is not true, not fully true, because what your brain gets all the information from your body, from your sensory.
mm,
So there's a beautiful example. I don't get the name now of that guy, but he's a pain researcher. And I love this example to show what your body is doing. So he has been a researcher all his life, working and walking through the forests. And one day he felt a little twinge on his ankle, on his foot, but he thought, well, it probably has been a twitch like usual, and I just scratched myself a little, and he walked on. But about 2 minutes later, he was in terrible pain because he got bitten by something really dangerous. But his
oh,
body was used to the sensation, so it didn't realize, okay, this is threatening.
yes,
So he collapsed and he got treated and the whole lot. But then when he was back in the forest, he scratched himself again on the ankle. This time it was just a twitch, but he collapsed immediately, screaming out of severe pain because his body still remembered that last time this happened,
mm,
it causes this big threatening situation. And you might know yourself when you have been a little child and you fell off the swing, it's going to take you a little bit to go back on the swing. Or if you do so, you might feel a bit uncomfortable. When you have a
yeah,
car accident and you don't go back into the car right away, you have this tension in your body that tells you, I'm not sure if that's a good idea to go back there.
indeed, indeed. And then we're always rationalising over that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Get it,
And it,
get back in as quick as you can. Get back in the saddle.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
general thing, Carl, what you're saying, giving
yeah,
ourselves time to recover from a flu, giving ourselves time to recover from a big emotional impact as well. We never take them for real. But if you had a fight with your beloved ones, nobody wants to fight. We all
yeah.
just want to have harmony. But of course, it's important to set your boundaries. And sometimes it's just two inner children talking to each other.
Oh
So,
yes, oh yes.
and in that, that is exhausting. Emotional stress is actually for your body just as stressful as physical stress. So when
Yes.
you work all day outside in the garden, being really active, this also would give you, or you should give your body time to rest after this. But if
Yeah.
you hop straight on into your wine tasting sessions and meeting friends and all that and the whole lot, and then you go to bed and then you wake up in the morning and first thing you do is a good morning show and all this, we're constantly overflown by stimuli.
You
We
know me
do
too
not
well.
stop.
Yes, okay, that's a point well made and taken here. If you've just tuned in, you're on the Good Morning Portugal show. We're having a conversation with Jennifer, to give her a full name, Jennifer Barraccu, from HoliHealthy. And how do you describe yourself? What's your elevator pitch, Jenny, when you say what you do, the service that you offer in life?
Oh, now you really got me, huh? Because it's so hard to describe. I'm like in my whole life, I'm a jack of all trades. So what I do, I don't like to follow one direction.
Yeah,
There is so many really good things out there in the world to help people, and we
yeah,
are all individual. And some people you could either work with on the intellectual level. Some people you could rather get into whatever needs to be done on the physical level. So what
yeah,
I do is with what we've just been scratching just before, talking about the trauma being stuck in your body. For me, a sufficient therapy does not exclude one or the other body parts. It needs to be a full body treatment for you to have a sufficient permanent result. And this is what I do. And I love to combine this with nature whenever it's possible. Of course, if it is an online session like now and you sit on your disc and I sit on my disc, it's kind of hard.
mm.
The most natural thing you probably find around you now is your beard.
Yes, and there's some wild boar was spotted running through it recently until I trimmed it. Yes, I get your drift. Yes, these are quite unnatural environments that we find ourselves in a lot of.
Yes.
So
Yes.
essentially, you help people to be healthy and happy, and you use a holistic approach. Uh,
Yeah.
if can I sum it up like that?
Yeah. I have, for me, I have 7 pillars for holistic health.
Yeah,
And that is life vision, breathing, nutrition, water, thoughts, sleep, and mindful movement. Those
a
7 pillars.
magnificent seven, very good.
Yeah.
Um, and you're available. So if people search for Holly Healthy on Facebook, they'll find you, and you can book sessions. And of course, the reason we're speaking is because you live in and love Central Portugal, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love Central Portugal, and it's going to be more to build up here. But just to get this turnaround back to the inner child, Carl, maybe I can.
Well,
I can
can I,
get
yeah, of course. No, we must do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt or stop you. I just
all
wanted to
good.
know who you were and why you're here. And also, your friends are here before we go into the reveal, before we go into the transformational insight and the turnaround as the culmination of our conversation. Watching from the Philippines, look at this. Helen is here. Good luck, my love, Jenny, from a friend of yours over in the Philippines. Susan's here. Bon dia, everyone. Marcos Valbon. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Very formal this morning, Marcos. Bom dia a todos vocês. Hoje é sexta-feira. Sexta-feira. The only day we're sexing it in Portugal. Cheap joke, but I never tire of it. Jenny, I get you're an indigo woman like me. I think there's a few indigo children in this community, right? I think of myself as an indigo bloke. Do you recognise that tag there, Jenny?
Yeah, I think I heard about this before, but again, I'm so sorry. I don't like to be put in anything.
Doesn't like
But
a label.
yeah, probably.
She won't be boxed in. I read the book Forgiveness, Loving the Inner Child by Louise Hay. What an amazing contribution Louise Hay has made to the field of human transformation. Absolutely. Morning to the doc and Gary there. Gary, are you okay now, Gary? Whatever. You've been called Holly now. Whatever Holly's on, can they send me some? Well, yes. I know you're in Yorkshire, but you can't. And it's so interesting. I used to live in Sheffield, in Yorkshire, not real Yorkshire, Paul, but he's up there in North Yorkshire, and I was involved in the bringing of what's he called? Tony Robbins to Sheffield. You know Tony Robbins, the transformation, unleash the power within. You know Tony Robbins? You could transform your life. You've got to transform your life. You don't know Tony Robbins? You surprised me. Anyway, he's coming over to Sheffield. I'm part of that. And back in the 90s, and it was so great. You know, Yorkshire culture. Well, we don't want some wise guy American coming over here telling us how to live our lives and how to think. It was fantastic. Culture clash, full on. And he was great. It was a Sheffield arena, and we were all in there being transformed. It was wonderful. My first memory, Debbie says, of being stupid. Oh, this is a bit of sharing going on now. I was 4 years old, was placed on a swing and decided to get off. Next thing, I was knocked out. I thought that knocked some sense in me. Ha ha. These are big moments, aren't they, in the life of a little person? Gary, although we might not have the ideal childhood, I think adversity can be used to your own well-being if you learn to be adaptable and realize that the problem often lies outside of you. That's a useful insight there. Of course, we need to still do the inner work, don't we? I think that's maybe why she's shaking her head there, Gary. As an analytical we'll come back to that. Excuse me. I think that Yorkshire impersonation has made me cough. As an analytical hypnotherapist, I work with clients to release the emotions bottled up from childhood. Boom. Do excuse me, everybody. Time out. Go on. Yep.
I'd like to say something to Gary's comment and the one of the analytical hypnotherapist.
Go on.
So Gary, you're right. It's definitely helpful to make yourself clear what is actually the circle of things that you can impact on and the ones you can't. And then it is about acceptance or change. So when you can change things and you have an impact on them and it's bothering you, then go ahead and change it. And if you can't or you don't want to, then the only thing to deal with it in peace is acceptance. Yes. So that's that one thing. And with the analytical hypnotherapist, every therapy has its place. Don't get me wrong. And it's good because it touches the subconsciousness. But what it leaves out is the physical body. And the information is stored in there. So again, of course, it is a great approach and it can do very much for you. But it is about either changing the information here and adapting it there, or changing it here and adapting it there. But it's like, and every good doctor tells you this as well, and I emphasize good, because you cannot treat any part of the body without also having an impact on any other body part.
Oh, okay.
Everything is interconnected and everything is intertwined. So when you have neck issues all of your life and you keep treating your neck for the last 3 years and there is no real result, it might get a little bit better just after the massage, but there's no real result. Sorry to disappoint you there, but it's probably not your neck.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know,
there's a
term for that.
I mean? Yeah, I do. No, I absolutely know what you mean. A bit of training as a massage therapist, I totally understand. And what we seem to be talking about there is the symptomatic, dealing with the symptomatic rather than the causal effects.
Well, but that's the thing, Carla. So that is what we all get treated, what we all get told, and this is how our allopathic system works: treat the symptoms. What does it help us? Nothing. It might give us a really quick relief and the quick fix in order for you to function for the next 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years, depending. But as long as you're not touching it at the root cause, and I'm not talking about doing a psychoanalysis for 240 hours to find out that your mom hasn't breastfed you enough. You know what I mean? That is not for...
Or too much.
That might be the root cause for you are still smoking or you having this hand to mouth thing, but that doesn't really interest me, because what it is, and you know, it saves us a lot of time not talking through all of this and just go down to this physical level, because sometimes you have trauma, and trauma is not an severe unexpected life event itself. Trauma is whatever your reaction to this is and how you deal with it and what's left of it. This is what trauma is.
Yes, and this is the exciting awareness I think that we're going into in society now, because it is fair enough, isn't it, to want relief from pain and to be allopathic and all of that. But there's so much more available to us now, isn't there, to really get into root cause, and then like you're saying, making it happen on every level so that we are really free. I totally hear what you're saying there. I suspect other people might hear as well. Carolyn says, this shaking approach is probably why exercise relieves stress. Yeah, going to the gym used to work for me back when it was safe to go to the gym. Pete, Pete, honestly, I can't read that out. I'm still now taking the vitamin D tablets that the doc said we should take. I can't do that if I'm shaking. You need to stop shaking for a moment, Paul, and then pop the vitamin D in. Look, and a nice sort of Yoda-esque empty comment there from Marcos. We like those as well. Adrian Caffrey, yes, we're all individuals. Isn't that a line from? It probably is, Adrian. Yes, a lot of people accept the body can be hurt, injured, or even maimed. And the mind is no different. Well said, Gary. And of course, we're making the connection here, aren't we? Of the full healing may come from the breakthrough and the remedy of mind and body together, not just one or the other, is the point I'm getting here. Jenni, mantenja se fort na chora. Keep strong, don't cry. Bleibe stark, weine nicht. You might hear as a German child there. You wanted to add something there, Jenni?
Yeah, what you just said was absolutely correct, that, getting this transition into all different levels. And I know that, for example, a lot of people do yoga. And
Yep.
yoga is beautiful to get a body connection and some focusing, balancing in your body, or in general exercise, what has just been mentioned with the shaking and the exercise. Of course, this is good, but your body is smart. So
Yeah.
what your body does is usually it moves around the stuck areas.
Yes.
So let's say for us women, for example, there's a lot of emotions stored in the hips most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So what your body does, even if you do the greatest hip openers, that only gives you this little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
trauma is in your real deep muscles. Nothing you could really access by going for a run or doing a good yoga session. It takes a bit more for it. And most of the time, I mean, these traumas or these reactions we have in this body is because at the time it was happening, we did not saw ourselves able to deal with it.
Yes.
What happens is it piles up, it comes more and more and more on top. And even if you're big and grown, then usually if you open this little drawer in your head and you look inside, you go like, oh no, I
No,
don't
not
think I can
today.
do it now. So, and this
Yeah.
happens with all these little drawers. So a
Yes.
lot of people, and that is just normal, and it's also just being really gentle to you, need some support to do this, to release the trauma out of your body, because it is honestly frightening when
Yeah.
you
Well done.
sit there and you're shaking and you can't control the shake anymore. Because what I've just said, you jump around and do the shake. This is what you consciously do, and it's a bit of fun. But if you
Yeah.
do this in the therapeutical context, I will make your body shake so the deepest muscles can release their stress and their tension. And of
Oh,
course, this might feel absolutely terrifying for you at the first place. But then it's
yes.
good that you know that somebody's there who also does not vibrate any fear, who gives you the feeling that you're safe and it's all good. And you will feel so released. But this is so important. And it's also important to do this slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So many people, they are like, okay, I'm on it now. I want to do it. I'm going to transform my whole life, brand new. It's like losing weight. Then you go into a whatever diet and do 2 weeks of not eating anything, and then you lost 5 kilos because it's all water. Your body's absolutely at its limit, drained. And then you start eating again, and 4 weeks later, you have the yo-yo effect, more than double on your hips.
Yep.
And this is exactly how it works with emotional stress and emotional trauma or physical trauma. It's absolutely the same. So you need to give your body little portions in order to internalize this and rewire its whole system for you to have a sustainable effect. Of course, you can always go for the quick fix, but that's nothing else than just taking a pill, basically.
Gently does it then, and it sounds to me, Jenny, that we need to create a context and an environment where this is possible and supported, rather than, because it says something about our society, doesn't it, that we are geared up for quick fix, allopathic treatment. Nothing wrong with that; it's needed, but a lot is missing as well. We have A&E for the body, don't we? And for the mechanics of the body. But there's a mental health crisis, and and it's been exacerbated by the pandemic. There aren't places to go to just be or to let go in a safe, friendly environment, are there? And that's arguably what we need now. A few more comments, and then we're going to talk more about more of what we can do to get in touch with the inner child and to do the release, which is great. And that's why Jenny's here this morning. Bon dia, alegria from Peter. Jennifer, that is why we can't wait for Garvo's naturist tree hugging walks. Getting out in nature. You've inspired Gary, absolutely, Jenny. So we're looking forward to that. That's why you were in FBG. Yes, Jim, it probably is. It's a line I walk. Bon dia, tourish from Donna over there in the Azores. Good morning to you, Donna. Lovely to your company. Thumbs up from Hank on the vitamin D. We're all like, what we should do, we should need a sponsorship deal with some sort of company that does good quality D3, I think, because we're all in the vitamin D club here now. Hank says, hey guys, don't forget to hit the thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. That's very kind, Hank. Thank you. Sheffield, there's a little bit of Sheffield here from Michelle. Sheffield is real Yorkshire. Oh dear, I've caused trouble here. Or all Yorkshire is real Yorkshire. Speaking as one born and bred there, but the people up in North Yorkshire think that, and West Yorkshire think that's proper Yorkshire. They think Sheffield is the Midlands, but that's a whole other conversation. Referred pain. That was the phrase I was reaching out for. So the thing you were talking about with the shoulders, it may be coming from somewhere else and ending up in the shoulders, but to get to the root of it is the smart thing to do. I used to suffer from dissociative identity, but now I'm not sure. Very good, Paul. As a CBT and hypnotherapist, I agree with Jennifer. Working solely with symptoms with current online-only therapy is not how I like to work. I like to work face-to-face and help people work on their whole being. I do include a lot of physical work-throughs combined with the conscious and subconscious, and of course include diet and hydration as part of my combined therapies. You two sound like you're on the same page here. I so want to get back to actually physically connecting with clients. Don't we all there, Fiona? It's amazing, isn't it, what this pandemic is doing to us? Social distancing, get it on one level, disaster on another level. I was brought up in the 50s and 60s, says Jim, to believe a man should not express his emotions. Thankfully, I've changed that mindset over the past 20 years. It's an ongoing process. Jim, yes, to you, mate. And you are a leader, an elder, a respectable and inspirational man in that regard. So thank you for what you're doing there. I get quite emotional when I think about ladies' hips. That's not, we're not talking about that sort of emotion, Gary. The hips don't, as the great philosopher Shakira once said, though, the hips don't lie. Jenny, Julka says hi. And we say hi to Julka as well, don't we? To you there.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Julka.
The release of childhood emotions, says Penny, is often a very physical experience. The emotions are accompanied by physical reactions. And isn't it lovely that we're hearing now of people in our community who provide that space for people to finally, possibly release their emotions that might be holding them back in their lives? Quite amazing. Deep muscle emotions is why some people end up crying or have surprising emotional episodes when having a massage. Absolutely right, Mark. Too much stress causes the body to release the stress hormone, and that raises your blood pressure and can put stress to the heart muscle, of course, Debbie. Wow, Jennifer, it's amazing to listen to your explanations. It absolutely is. Thanks for being here, Jenny, doing that. And we, this is amazing how we have a community that, we're talking about wine one day, we're talking about bits of Portugal, and now we're talking about our inner children. You folks rock. Jen, do you think panic attacks have an underlying cause and can be treated by therapists versus just drugs? They come out of nowhere without rhyme or reason. The body shakes and sweats and you feel like an elephant is on your chest, and most doctors just give a pill to manage it. Understand why they do that? What do you say, Jenny?
You're welcome to pop me a message after you heard what I'm saying and that resonates with you. So from my understanding, panic attacks are very much connected to emotional attachment.
Right.
Where then, when this part where we are emotional attached to is about to break off, we're panicking. And with panic attacks, the mean thing is they just overtake you. You can't really. It's hard to get sensitive for the triggers when it starts building up because they come so suddenly. Well, what you can do perfectly when you are in a panic attack to give you the most quickest release, there are several things, but to be something that is easily for you to do right away is breathing, of course, deep breathing, but you probably heard this so often, so let's skip this. Another thing you can do is I'm gonna get up for this a little bit so you can see a bit more. So you use your two fingers from both sides, and then you have the emotion there anyway. In a panic attack, you can't get out of the emotion. That's why it's called a panic attack. So
Yes.
you are in there. You don't need to go there. You use the two fingers of your both sides, and then you go just around your navel, and you start gently with a bit of pressure, moving your fingers to the outside of your navel. You do this for a little moment, and then you go a little further up,
Woo!
just underneath your rib cage here,
I'm
and you
doing
do
it.
it here. And you're doing
Yeah.
it, and does it feel
Doing it
good, huh?
now. Yeah, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
sure you're on your navel, Carl?
Yes, I am on my navel, Jenny. What are you like?
Okay.
These people are a bad influence on you, Jenny.
So you do it here, and then last thing you do is up here on
Yes.
your collarbone, just
Yeah.
underneath your collarbone. You do the same, two fingers, and you're just wiping it out. Do a bit of breathing while you're there,
I'm
and
feeling
it
that.
calms you down right away.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Okay. I could go into a lot of my personal stuff right there, but I won't. This is not about me. But
Send me a
that's
PM.
I will. I will, and Ree might as well. That's really very good spiritual first aid there. Thank you very much. And obviously, there's more to it, but that's fantastic. Mark Cockerton, Jenny, you're truly a star. Your inner child learnt a big person's words. Andrea Pereira, we take vitamin D every day. We have very little sunshine here. Well done. Keep up your Vit D, folks. And actually, Jenny, before she goes, excuse me, stuff is coming up from my lungs from my grief center, I think, this morning. Gary, you're so funny and witty, says Debbie. Penny says, transform vitamin D3, 4,000, and Vitamase, vitamin K. K2. Hold on a minute. Why did you do that, Jenny?
I'm just reading all these vitamin D's and blah blah blah. It's okay, it's good, but it's not the solution. It can help, but again, as a reformed pharmacist, I tell you, it's not about the substances you take. They can make a difference for you,
Yes.
but mainly it comes from here. And as all your body mechanisms are intertwined as well with your emotional state and your mind state, so you can swallow as much vitamin D as you want. If your mindset and your physics are very tense and you are in this physically on your neuro system, in your neural system, if the pain or the anger or the sadness is stuck there, you can eat so many vitamin D3s. You can eat all the stuff in the world. It's not gonna make an effective, long-lasting, sustainable difference. It's just a quick fix, and it can be very supporting. Don't get me wrong, it can be really supporting. But there again, it doesn't mean, there's no sunlight. I'm going to take D3. So, because your body is a lazy cow. I'm never a fan of supplements. Yeah, it is, because it needs to. It's working 24/7 on its limits. And wherever it can, of course, it gets lazy. So when you start giving something from the outside, whatever it is, your body is usually able to produce it itself. It's like, nice one. I don't need to do this anymore. So always careful, huh? Always careful. But I agree, vitamin D3 is great for people who have a slight tendency for depression in the cold seasons. But you know what I'm sitting in front of? Look at this.
Oh, I say, what's that?
That is sunlight reproducing, or yeah, a lamp that is making sunlight.
Yes.
So this is what you just put in front of your desk. You don't need to take any pills, and this gives your through your vision, because that's what happens in your brain. That's where the D3 um, synthesizes is happening.
Yeah.
Not just through your skin, but also through your vision, huh? Because through
Yeah.
our vision, it's connected to our pineal gland, and our pineal gland does
Yeah.
produce certain hormones, serotonin as well. So it's connected, it doesn't produce it, but it's connected to all this. So what we do is when we get sunlight, is that through this whole mechanism that's behind there, we produce more serotonin. And
Yes.
D3 is necessary for it as well, but it's like again intertwined. But placebo does it. If you think D3 is gonna rescue you, it will. So do whatever you think.
Okay, well, I think we've got to. This is one of the, how the medium is the message. In
Yeah,
this medium, it can sound like people are disagreeing when in fact they're absolutely on the same page, and there's a nuance at work. And knowing Penny as I do, you two are absolutely on the same page in terms of holistic understanding of health and this incredible opportunity. I think now, I mean, yeah, fair enough. We've got this first aid allopathic thing pretty much under control as a culture. And the big breakthrough we might have, I think, culturally, is to really get into this kind of emotional health technology now. The sort of thing you're talking about, Jenny. I know Penny's absolutely on the same page as that. And what we're talking about here, I think, is dealing with this sentiment here. Susan says, I was brought up in the children should be seen and not heard era. And, whilst we could criticize that, there was a reason for that, presumably. It was a survival issue. Everything has its place, as I think you said earlier on, Jenny. And then, okay, but that said, we still might need to deal with the effects of that.
exactly.
So that's what
Absolutely.
happened. That's what happened. There's no, we don't need to beat our parents up. We don't need to beat ourselves up, but there might be something to deal with. And this is what Jenny's talking about, right? And lots of people now, emotional freedom, emotional release, uh, our understanding of trauma now. We're moving into a very exciting era. And I think
Yeah.
the pandemic is like, on the one hand, is showing us like what a world is like driven by fear, and then on the other hand, we have all these incredible technologies. Well, what might the world be like if we approach it from a holistic, loving angle and release those things that have been holding us back? And that's where you step into the picture, right, Jenny?
Yeah. You see, I absolutely agree with you, and it would be lovely if we finally be able to take that chance. Because there is a big chance in this whole pandemic. You're absolutely right. And earlier you said such a wonderful thing. Like we have a few people here. They're already very open, commenting about it. You just said something. We all carry our baggage, and
Yeah.
nobody is free of hurt or sorrow,
Mm.
particularly not now. And the first thing we can all do is be more open with this, because then others feel more safe with us. And if
Yes.
we feel safe with each other, then we might feel more strong as humanity again.
Yeah.
But now in this, how our society developed from, let's say, industrialization on, it's very egoistic, very fast paced, very 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 self-centered. and
Hmm.
and and like you said, this was absolutely necessary at a certain time, a time and age. We still carry so much of fear, anger, and sadness of our parents, of the afterworld generation in us as well. That's a
Yeah.
completely different topic how it gets there. But like you said, so being more open, more understanding as well, more empathic.
Yes.
Even towards yourself, towards of other people. This will allow us to see each other on a whole different level. If I know, Carl, you're vulnerable, I might rather open up to you and share my issues with you than
Yes.
somebody who just seems to be perfectly happy and not to being brought out of its space. You know what I mean?
I
And
absolutely
that's
know what you mean, and I really want to say something here about what's going on in our culture, the culture wars, and the baby boomers. They were so lucky; they got their houses and their equity and their wealth, and now the snowflakes and the millennials are always moaning and social justicing and stuff like that. The problem with this culture war, with the millennials looking at the baby boomers and saying, you don't know what it's like to be us, and the baby boomers saying, just get a job and work hard and everything will be fine. And I think you said something there like, we have a common humanity here. We need to understand each other's pain and the difficulties, not to be calling each other names. People are trying to knock each other out at the moment, aren't they? Like making good reasons for criticizing and judging other people and calling them snowflakes and this, that, and the other. And of course, some of things people say are really stupid. I'm not defending that. But where is it coming from is the question we're asking this morning, right? What causes people to behave in the way they're behaving? And that's the underlying and unifying issue here, isn't it? It's probably their pain from the past that they've not quite got
absolutely, Carl.
in touch with yet. Yeah. So come on, folks. We don't need to be punching each other out, do we? We need to be vulnerable to each other. And your enemy is your helper in this regard, right?
Yeah, and you know what? You just said something really beautiful that can be summed up in one absolutely life-changing sentence for me. Hurt people hurt people.
Yes, absolutely right.
And it doesn't need to go on like this. When and you're the only one who can help you. You can come to me and I can give you a little kick in a certain direction, but at the end of the day, it's you who's going to be doing the work. So, and that's the magic in it. Like I asked you in one show, who's the most important person in your life? I can at the same time ask you who you still put in charge for you being like you are. So with the one story, who's the most important person in your life, you put the responsibility of your happiness on somebody else. With saying, I'm just not able to have relationships because my parents got divorced when I was 11. Yeah, you can go on living like this if you wish, but it's not going to get you anywhere. And it is giving up the responsibility for you not feeling able to share love to your parents. But this takes away your control. Giving away responsibility gives away your control. And maybe to get a quick turn in what you said earlier and the situation we're in the pandemic at the moment. We grow up in this society where we get conditioned that anything, healing, happiness, whatever, comes from the external. We've already had this. What we do then is we give away the responsibility for that because they implement us. We do it in your best interest. But now you already see what I've just said on the individual scale, that when you blame your parents or you blame your partner, you give away the responsibility. This happened on a massive, massive, massive scale of humankind, giving away the responsibility for our whole state form to a government, giving away our whole responsibility for our health to a so-called health system. And this, of course, was designed to give us a relief, to have a more convenient life. But where it brings us to is it brings us that we give away this responsibility, that we lose control, and by losing control, we become terrified.
Yeah.
And again, then we give trust to those people who we give the responsibility to, but then at the end of the day, we're not really satisfied with what they're doing.
this is what's going on at the moment, isn't it? And you make a very good point there, and a kind of diagnosis of the times in a way. We're traumatized at the moment, aren't we? I don't think it's unfair. I mean, certainly you can be free of that momentarily because you can take yourself out of the bigger picture. You can stop watching the news. You can sit in your nice part of central Portugal and be in the vineyards or whatever. But then when you're in the collective, I think there's a traumatized environment in the collective at the moment. So my question to you on that basis is how do we survive that, and then what's our exit strategy? What's our healing strategy for this? Because actually that's sorry, I'm interrupting myself in my own question there, but it's only to ask you the best question, which is we talk about putting this behind us, the new normal, opening things up. But there needs to be a healing process as well from this, doesn't there? If we just open everything up and carry on like nothing ever happened, we will be swallowing down more trauma, won't we? So what if you were Minister of Health, what would you be saying to the collective, to the society? I know. What would you be saying to everybody about how we take this into our being, and how we transform it, and how we move on healthily after it?
I think it's a great question, Carl. I really appreciate that question. And there would probably be loads to say and to do. But one thing we can all do for ourselves would make a big difference into the bigger community is being loving and kind and careful towards yourself to start with.
Yeah.
I know people who follow me probably can't hear it anymore. Love yourself more, you deserve it. But honestly, I could pray it. And we probably all hear and know this quote saying, you can only love yourself as much as you can only love others as much as you love yourself.
Yeah.
And we're probably all sick of this, but it's true.
We're always saying those things that are true.
And you know what and there's again a turn to the inner child, because for people who might saw it, some haven't, just going to repeat it. So a great quote from Alice Miller, who's a psychiatrist, well, one of those,
that thing,
out of Switzerland, and she wrote a great book, The Drama of the Gifted Child. Anyway, one of her quotes is, the way you are treated as a child, you will go on treating yourself for the entire rest of your life. And this is absolutely it. Take a moment, take this information, take a moment, and later on, when the show is finished, just take an insight and try to remember some situations, or how you mainly felt as a child, and what your main feelings are today. And you will see there are a lot of parallels. But then again,
absolutely, I can see that right away. Yeah.
But that's up to you, because that is you still carrying these beliefs of your parents, for example. And 99% of us have I'm not good enough, I didn't deserve it. Huh?
Yeah.
So these kick in when you think oh, you know what? Oh, I saw this great bottle of wine, and you know what? I'm going to buy it. And on Saturday, I will have a nice dinner with my lovely wife, and we're going to sit and we have this bottle of wine. And then eventually, because you haven't done something in the week you actually meant to do, there will be this little voice saying, Carl, no. You didn't even cut the grass, and now you're thinking you can sit there and have a nice, lovely dinner with your wife. No, you didn't deserve that. No.
See, what we didn't realise is you're psychic as well. You seem to know so much about me, Jenny.
I know.
These are human issues, aren't they? And I'm sure people are relating massively here. We're coming up to 10 o'clock. I'd like to talk a bit more. Are you okay for time?
I can give you another 10 minutes.
Good. All right, let's go, because people need to be heard, and I'm sure you will appreciate. And with lots of lovely comments coming in. Gemini, I find yoga makes me feel good. It gives me strength and motivates me. Vara and Susan are laughing. I think that was probably when you made that little joke at my expense. Penny is giving us a good vitamin D blood test there. All of these things can help. And we need the bigger picture as well that we're furnishing here with Jenni this morning. My people lost the smell and the flavors for a long period of time. This is the collective mourning that Marcos is talking about, the things that the Portuguese culture is missing. Yes, Carl, it's your wallet. What was that? What I could feel in my trousers? I don't know what he was talking about there. We've moved on. A fantastic guest speaker this morning, says Beverly. Thank you. Loving listening to Jennifer. Lots to think about and try. Thanks for that, Beverly. Panic attacks and GAD. I don't know what that is. Are totally connected to past experience and core beliefs about danger. I also use my combined CBT hypno with such debilitating, overwhelming experiences to reduce drastically the occurrence of panic and overwhelm. That's fantastic news. So many wonderful people and technologies around for this. You are the king of innuendo, but long live the queen, says Gary. The solution is moving to Portugal. I wish. It can be part of it, Andrea, absolutely. I have to say that when I eat chocolate, my inner child does feel a lot better. Yes, we can relate to that, can't we? But we're talking about going a bit deeper this morning, Hank. Bon dia alegria popping in a bit late, says Rizal. Good morning to you. And yes, it's the sad light, seasonal affective disorder we were talking about with the light there. Hank, I think we're talking about COVID-19. Not inner child vis-a-vis. Yeah, okay. Well, I think we can all understand and forgive each other that we're all coming to this from sort of loving, generous places, and it's all coming together in a beautiful, beautiful soup of compassion here to this morning. Sad lamp stimulates, says Jim, and helps simulate sunlight. Sorry, and helps trigger the brain to release serotonin. Very helpful in places like here in Germany or UK in the winter. Mark had one. Growing up, the only escape my inner child had was to read. As I was in the same era, I should be seen and not heard. I find that the best escape is still to read a good book. It still helps. Yes, Ree. And of course, the other things we're talking about this morning, if you dare go there. Can we just mention about Jenni's project for her work with children? Let's finish with that. Watched a program tonight in the US, was horrified that every commercial break featured a long ad for a drug being pushed as a solution for one's problems. Yeah, you do that well in America, don't you? Doreen Ray's Big Pharma, putting profits first as usual, absolutely. And everyone knows that now, don't they? Question for Jenni. My mother did not show emotion. I was deprived of that emotional love. I should have been like them, but I am totally the opposite. So loving and caring as a person. Why? I think we might have to come back and answer that, or speak to Jenni. You guys need to talk. I think it'll be part of share and care. It could be really useful, I think, for you guys to talk. But that's a great question. I suspect you just were sick of it, Debbie, and you wanted to model a different way of being in the world. Attitudes change with generations, says Paul, hopefully. Jenni, why do you think that being caring and kind is now so often looked on as a weakness rather than a strength? So many questions coming up. She's here every month. It might have to be more often. Definitely, says Doreen. A sad lamp produces the full spectrum of light. Okay, that's great info about the sad lamps there. Cheers, Mark. Best show yet, Jen. Would love for you to continue this next week. 1 hour is not enough for this topic. All right. We'll keep a note of these questions, folks. They're not going anywhere. Let's face it. These are lifelong issues, aren't they? Let's get Jenni back next week and we'll get that in the diary. I think Jennifer would be so helpful in grief situations like sharing care. Portugal is trying to give to people. Yes, so definitely Debs and Jenni need to speak. Does Jennifer believe we bring learnings and experience from ancestral or previous incarnations? My goodness, that is a new can of spiritual worms there. So we definitely need you back next week. Jennifer, do you honestly think that people can actually change who they are, their physical makeup, things that are deep rooted within their DNA? And I love the rest of your question here, Neil. Thank you for asking it. There are generous people, friendly people, angry people, funny people, chatty people, etc., etc. And this seems to be their personality throughout their life. Question is, so could a person with deep anger as a child and throughout their life suddenly become a naturally calm and passive person?
Not suddenly, but yes.
Okay, great. As a photographer, a simple yes, but not suddenly. When I photograph children, I regularly experience that parents talk to children about complexes or label them with behavioral problems. I ask the parents to leave. Yes, and I see a completely different child. That is fantastic anecdotal insight that we can all agree with there. So, right, Carl, we need a time of global mourning. Yeah, we need to come to terms with it and heal it for sure, Hank. I think this thing that we've been going through for the last year, our brain influences our internal organs. Thank you, Gemini. Good morning to you. Yes, Carl, I think we're all absorbing negative energy and fear from the collective. I think that's a whole other conversation. We are spawning Many other conversations here this morning. I can see what Jenny is saying, says Gemini. Good morning, lovely morning Friday talk from HoliHealthy. I use my essential oils to help me get through the day. Well done, Jacqueline. Thank you for being here this morning. I think we should avoid talking about what Carl is feeling in his trousers. Yes, I think that's a good idea too. Carl, a great talk show. Need to do this again with Jenny. We will. Vara, thank you, Jen, for that informative, productive chat. Thanks, Carl, for the variety of topics you bring to us. You're an excellent host. Thank you, Vara. David, got my second Moderna dose and the side effects gave me body aches and chills for around 24 hours. But I guess it's better than the virus. Another can of worms. Yes, thank you, David. Next week, please, Jenny from Penny. And hi, Jenny. I'll be in touch. I think probably we should give you the chance to talk about your kids' project. I don't want, having opened this up, it's unfair to not answer this, but we would be here all day. So the best we can do, I think, Jenny, will you come back next week one day and we'll talk some more?
Let me check my calendar once we're finished.
Okay.
And then I'll see. I'd love to come back next week. I'm there every third Friday anyway in the field.
Okay.
How do you always call Feelgood Friday show?
Feelgood Friday show, yes.
But of course, let me check if I can manage that we can do next week as well. I think because I usually don't put my appointments that early.
Okay. And the other thing, of course, I mean, what I'd encourage you to do, Jenny, is to, host your own webinar and talk. These people know who you are. They know where you are. No, she wants you in.
No. It's absolutely. You're damn right. It's about I'm open and sharing my state. So it's for me finding my own power and overwriting my old limiting core belief of you didn't deserve that. You can't do that. You ain't got no voice. So I'm working on this, and it's already a big step being here online with you live every 4 weeks. But this, thank you for this, Carl. This really took away from me this resistance I had towards showing myself with my opinion in the outside world. So thank you for this. You have been really helpful there.
My pleasure, absolutely.
I'd like to finish off quickly with thank you so much, Gary, for reminding me on mentioning my kids project, which is really, Gary, it's my heart project. So thank you for this. But just to, before I do this, I'd like to close off the inner child topic for today with one little sentence or one little advice you can do, or all of us can do, just to connect with your inner child if it's not there yet. But if you'd like to, it's always nice if you're in a situation, whatever you can be. For example, a good thing to try it is if you're in the shop and you go through the angles, and then you say to yourself, what would my little inner child go for now? What would it buy? We had one who said, my inner child loves chocolate. My inner child loves making bubbles. My inner child is absolutely going mental about bubbles. So when I go make bubbles, you can see the switch going on in my brain. I just go like, boop, 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 boop. But I allow it. So that's the importance. Whatever there is with your child, you are going to be the parent that it always has needed when it was little. So it's going to be you who will take it in their arm when it's sad. And that happens only here in your head, but it makes such a big difference. And you will be greatly rewarded for this. So check in maybe once a day, maybe on a Sunday, if that's what you can do. But go inside and maybe ask your inner child, okay, if I would be 5 years again, what would you like to do now? Or what would it be that you need now? Or what can I do for you today for your well-being?
Okay,
this is just what? A little step.
I'm going to escalate that into homework for people this weekend, right? And I'd love to invite everybody to say, look, to say to their little 5-year-old, little Gary, little Penny, little David, little Vara, all of these people here, what do you want to do right now, mate? And talk beautifully and supportively to your little inner person and see what happens with that. That'll be amazing. Did you want to say something about your children's project?
Maybe just 1 or 2 sentences really quickly to stop off. It's not giving it's not reflecting what it's not reflecting the level of energy I put in when I just bring it down to 2 sentences now, but just to give people an idea. And I'm happily making one show out of it if you wish. So I'm working on a children's project that is going to be called Rainbow Warriors, and it's based on the fact that we as grown-ups, you mentioned it now, you mentioned earlier really well, the ones who already have opened the door toward their own feelings, they know exactly there is no end, like you constantly work on yourself. And the ones who are thinking about doing it, anyways, us grown-ups, when we do all this, it takes so much energy of us, because it's a bit like Montessori. You've learned it this way, and then you're trying to reprogram and rewrite this, which takes a great amount of energy. And it's so hard to do that, because still at the same time, we're constantly triggered and going back into our old habits. Now, our subconsciousness is always using the most senseful and responsible way to resolve a situation, depending on what it has in its toolbox. So our generations, we all now watching this show, and all the people who are there at the moment in this world, we only have very limited tools in this toolbox, and most of the time they're not really healthy. We've been talking about flight, fright, or freeze. You're absolutely getting told, if your boss is mean to you, you just can't shout back, and you don't, and that is okay, because it wouldn't be very appropriate socially. So but when we give the kids, they are coming and growing now, when we give them tools like connect with that little inner child, give yourself a hug, be loving, gentle, blah, 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 tons of things. But generally, it's going to be a program where kids will get the tools they need in order to cope with all the BS that's going on in the world more easily. That doesn't mean that they won't struggle, and it doesn't mean that they are not potentially fall into an addiction or whatever. But they have all this back in here, so whenever shit hits the fan, they know exactly what to go for.
Excellent.
Yes,
training,
that's what I'm
training. Like supporting, feeding the adults of the future. Right. I think is what I'm hearing there. Thank you, Jenny.
And the long-term goal with this is in my brain, when we make this the core values from the new generation kids, and this is going to be their core values, they will pass on these core values to their kids. So give it about 2-3 generations, and then we should be back on track.
We'll be back on track. Fantastic. Jenny, you've been amazing this morning. I'll go through the comments on my own, but we need to let you go. So thank you. Hopefully we'll see you next week, but rest assured, folks, we're booked with Jenny for I think it's the third Friday of every month, isn't it, that you're here anyway?
19th of March next for sure. But I'll check. I have a session now, but I'll give you a shout around lunchtime.
Good on you. And haven't these guys been wonderful? Haven't they been wonderful this morning? Their openness, the vulnerability, and the questions has been absolutely lovely this morning.
Beautiful. And that's the way to go, huh? And we all start seeing each other in a different perspective as well, more loving, because you see, oh, look, he's actually got problems, and I do, and So,
All right. Ciao, ciao. Jenny, have a great day. Have a lovely weekend. Speak to you soon.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
There she goes, the wonderful Jenni Barraccu. She's got things to do today. We all have, haven't we? But I can't go without going through your comments here. Details on screen, please. Gary, somebody, could you do me a massive favor and put a way of contacting Jenny on the screen, please? Thank you, Jenny and Carl from Gemini. Fiona says, yes, let's give kids the tools they need while they are still little. Think of the massiveness of this for their and the next generation. Yeah, that's right, because in the pandemic, you're saying, they can't go to school, they can't socialize, they can't do this, that, or the other. But we can still, whether they're at school or not, this stuff can be done, can't it? We can do this. Mark says, thanks, Colin, Jennifer, and all stay safe. Vara saying, yes, so important to work on yourself. We often want to work on others, yes. Or want others to work on themselves. I've learned so much in this lockdown. Amazing. Tell us more, Vara. Sounds like transactional analysis. I studied it at uni, adult, child, ego, superego, etc. Adrian, a connecting point there for you. Gemini, it's common. A lot of people I know took the vaccine, has the same symptoms. By the next day, it dies out. That's I think a bit of comfort there. HoliHealthy. This is what you need to be looking up. Okay, Debs, we've got this now. On Facebook is the way to track Jennifer down. I can put you in touch. It's not a problem. You can see my email address on the screen. Talking of being in touch with the inner 5-year-old Petit Fours, we'll do it for Shelley. Seriously, folks, that's your homework for this weekend. Go around the supermarket, around your house. What do you want to do now? Little Carl, little Shelley, little Jim, little Hank, and see what happens with that. It could be the most amazing way of getting in touch with some stuff that might need healing. Yep, I'm with you, says Fiona to Jennifer. Fear of tech. I need to learn how to do videos and webinars. Lol, great show. Love to all. Jenny, you're awesome, and I look forward to your next visit from Jim. Hank, stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks to Jennifer for the visit. Thanks, Hank. Susan, morning, Pamela. Love watching this show. Thank you, Susan. Obrigado, Jennifer, in capital letters. Right from the heart there, from Belgium, and from Jenny there. Hank, thanks to everybody. Agree, disagree, nothing but love for you, all of you. Absolutely right, Hank. Speaking for all of us there, I think, or most and many of us. Damn, I missed you, says Sarah. Not a problem, Sarah. You can look. We're on YouTube. It's all recorded. It's a podcast. It's on Facebook forever. It's on as long as I'm able to be on there. And YouTube, no worries. You can watch it back. Wonderful show, says Lucas. Good morning to you. A new name, I think, here. And yes, Jenny, Debbie will be in touch with Jenny, and Penny wants her back next week as well. One more comment, I think. Where are we? Yes, the teach kids resilience. Absolutely. Do you know what? I believe that children are our future. I can't sing all of that for you right now. There you go. HoliHealthy is the way to find Jennifer on Facebook. And another link there, a fuller link from Jenny. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, everybody. You've been amazing. Don't forget that homework. Take care. Bye for now. Let's go out with Pete's wonderful video, his exit video, his outro. We have a new intro to premiere on Monday as well, thanks to Pete, that marvelous fellow. So here we go. Take care. Bye for now. Bon fin de semana. Have a beautiful weekend, whatever that means now.